My name is Carol Seaver. I was a teacher and a school counselor for over 30 years. I've always, since I guess the age of 19, been into the mind-body approach because it just made a lot of sense to me. So I became a mind-body coach. And in the 80s, when Louise Hay came out with her work, which was Heal Your Body and Heal Your Life, I started studying that and saw the connection between what's going on in the mind and how it is manifested in the body. And I became a Louise Hay trainer and workshop leader, and that was very interesting.
My name is John Green. I'm the founder of an organization called the Mind-Body Institute of America. The Mind-Body Institute was founded as a nonprofit organization, formalized in, I believe it was 2002. So that's about 13 years now, but I have been doing, practicing hypnosis, clinical hypnosis, complementary medical hypnosis, and something called emotional freedom techniques for about 15 years now. I also utilize in utilizing and using both hypnosis, teaching self-hypnosis and emotional freedom techniques, another technique based on language called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. And it's just a matter of using language properly and speaking with people to speak to their subconscious mind rather than to their cognitive conscious mind. I teach people how to heal themselves, how to eliminate negative behaviors, how to change in a very, very rapid, painless, and permanent way.
My name is Marielle Harrison. I work for the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence in New Jersey. I'm an advocacy organizer, so I mobilize volunteers throughout the state to speak up, stand up, and talk about addiction as a public health issue, addiction as a disease, and look at it from a social rights perspective as well.
Well, holistic means we are working with the whole body, or the whole being, I should say. We are different from allopathic medicine people because they're just working with the physical part. We work with the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. That's the whole being. We are not just our bodies. We are much deeper than that. And the study of that is extremely interesting, and the proof of that is just all over the place. So I find it very interesting, very rewarding, and it's like more than a passion. It's like an obsession with me. You know, I'm always doing it, I'm always learning it, I'm always studying it, and I'm just so happy that I do that.
Well, I have to step away from the standard definition of holistic because I think holistic medicine is an oxymoron. In the last 50+ years, we have changed from a society in which medicine was considered the relationship between a doctor and his or her patient to a relationship where today, if you ask anyone what medicine is all about, they are going to tell you about the drug that they are taking, their parents are taking, their friends are taking, illegal or legal. So that today, medicine equates to pharmaceuticals. I would like to think of holistic as relating to wellness of a human being and working with a human being in ways that will transform them from the life of stress and anxiety and both emotional and physical issues that they're experiencing into a life that de-stresses them, in which they have no stress, in which they have positive energy, and negative energy of our society is really unable to penetrate their positive feeling about themselves, who they are and what they are here today.
To me, holistic is very simple. It's whole health. So it's an approach that is mental, physical, and spiritual.
When I'm dealing with an individual who has come to me, been referred to me, or comes directly to me from one way or another, who indicates that they have an addictive behavior which compels them to ingest or take some type of substance, a poisonous substance, drug, alcohol, or whatever, I don't look at it as a treatment for an addiction. I don't believe addictions exist. Addictions are the result of emotional issues, stress in an individual's life that very often goes back to childhood. These stresses in an individual's life, these negative emotions in an individual's life, at some point in their lives trigger what is called a genetic expression. That genetic expression sticks in their cellular structure and in their subconscious mind, and over and over and over again causes them to feel emotionally compelled to do something that is not in their best interest. In this case, perhaps it's taking a drug, perhaps it's overeating, perhaps it's drinking too much alcohol. It is all about stress and how our lives express stress and sometimes make us very sick, emotionally and or physically.
Well, my approach to everything is holistic. And I personally believe, well, I wouldn't say personally because it's what I've learned through the different techniques that I've learned, that people who are addicted, and I don't care whether it's to drugs or food or gambling or sex or shopping or whatever, there's something missing there. And what we use addictions for, and you could be addicted to a person or addicted to television. You know, we all have sort of some addictive personality, but it's about trying to find a solution. The people who are addicted, especially to drugs, I should say, they are using their addiction as a healing, more or less. It's a solution for them. But the addiction is only a symptom. It's a symptom of deep emotional pain that these people have gone through. And unfortunately, in our society, we're looking at them as though they are crazy people, weirdos. They don't have any willpower or anything like that. And this tough love thing, you know, it works for like 2 or 3 people. I'm totally against that. I think what these people need is love. Well, usually the addictions I work with are on food, because a lot of women are always trying to lose weight, and sometimes, you know, a diet will work for a while, then they gain it back, or they'll exercise and then they gain it back. It's coming back all the time. We call it the waiting game, because you're waiting for it to stay away. But what I've learned through the studies that I've done and the kind of work that I do is it's all about emotional eating, and it's the same, it's an addiction. You feel bad, so this food, maybe the potato chips, oh, I'm going to feel better if I have a bag of potato chips. And you do feel better, but you gain weight, and the next day you feel worse, because not only do you have your original pain, you have your, oh God, I can't even stay on a diet. I hate myself. I ate a bag of potato chips. You know, we're always putting ourselves down. So we work on your original, let's say, the family that you were raised in. You know, many times you'll see very fat kids, and then you see the parents, and the parents are very big, you know. So it doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's an eating habit. And people don't think about, you know, the patterns that were created in their home. So that's part of it. The other thing is using food as a sedative, the same as you would use a drug. You know, you don't feel good, I'm going to eat. So you've got to go through all the reasons why you don't feel good about yourself and how food is, for you, taking that away temporarily. So it's emotional traumas, you know, the things that happened as children again. Everything has a beginning in probably up to the age of 6. You've created your perception. So, you know, there's a lot of emotional trauma, so we work on the emotional trauma. So we're working on the past a lot. We're working on what's triggering them now and what their habits are now, changing the diet now. And we're working on the future. Look into the future and see yourself and see how you want to be and what can we do to make the changes. So we do deal with the past, the present, and the future, basically talking about and healing emotions along the way using different techniques. You know, I have several different techniques that are very good for taking away blocks, because When something is continued, like an addiction, there's a block to healing. And when there's a block to healing, we call it an energy disruption. So we clear the energy disruptions.
I also happen to be a veteran volunteer for an organization called the Veteran Stress Project. The Veteran Stress Project was started by Dr. Dawson Church, who lives in California, and Dawson Church is an expert in emotional freedom techniques. And the program is an outside of the VA program to help veterans who have been suffering from PTSD symptoms. The program was designed to originally take approximately 100 veterans in giving them free, at no cost, 6 sessions in which they were taught EFT, emotional freedom techniques, and they were worked with a specialist utilizing emotional freedom techniques to eliminate PTSD symptoms. In the process, other symptoms of the trauma that they had experienced in war were eliminated. Drug addictions were eliminated. Sleeplessness was eliminated. Different types of stress were eliminated. So that the program, once it was finished, the first part of the program was finished, it was finally reported in a journal called the Journal of Nervous Medicine and Emotional Health.
But to get back to addictions, the sad thing about addictions is that addiction is a symptom of pain, emotional pain, but it is not the solution. The addicted people are looking at it as a solution. Unfortunately, that's why they do it repetitively. And so it is not only physically addicted, they are psychologically addicted to the high, to the good feeling, and they want that over and over and over again. The sad part is when you're in that state of mind, and like I said, you could get it from shopping, you can get it from running. It doesn't have to be something that's against the law. But the sad part is when we don't deal with our feelings and they're buried alive, they fester and grow. They never go away. And the thing that really happens to us is we become imposters. We're not our real selves. We're a fake person. The real person is hidden behind the addiction. And you cannot heal if you are not authentic. In order to heal holistically, and in order to heal physically, immensely, emotionally, and spiritually, you have to be the real you. And you're not the real you if you're addicted. So it is like a quandrum, because you think you feel better, but you're creating a bigger problem for yourself by hiding the real you. And of course, when you're addicted, you don't experience life the way it is. And that's sad, because life is meant to be lived and experienced with the highs and the lows, you know, the joyful parts and the sad parts. But when you're addicted, you can't even feel the joyful parts, because you're like on this stable line where you can't feel happy and you can't feel sad.
For the most part, in dealing with someone who has an quote addiction to heroin, cocaine, alcohol, or some other substance, even chocolate, I start out by introducing them to the very fact that, number one, there is nothing wrong with them. Number two, that we come into this life, we're born into this life as perfect little human beings, and what occurs from the day we were born, and sometimes even in our mother's wombs, is that we become programmed imperfectly to be the human being that we are today, as they're sitting here. As I'm telling them that, it is registering both on a cognitive and a subconscious level. It begins registering on the subconscious level as soon as they begin imagining themselves as that perfect little human baby coming into this world. And that perfect little creature, that little baby, is still inside of them, but it has been programmed imperfectly. From that point, I introduced them to the idea that they can change. They can change rapidly, they can change painlessly and permanently from this feeling that they have that causes them to do the things that they're doing. And I begin to introduce them to the techniques of emotional freedom techniques, which is kind of like acupuncture, but without the needles. Emotional freedom techniques allows the individual in a self-applied way to eliminate negative stress, feelings, emotions, traumas that have occurred in the near past or in their childhood very, very quickly. And we work on individual emotions, perhaps starting with anger, but anger, abuse, grief, whatever they are. Now that doesn't mean that they can't feel bad once in a while. I use the words shitty and crappy because we're on a basis where I want them to be relaxed. And I tell them, I said, we're like all human beings. We have bad days and we have good days. You have a right to feel shitty, crappy, good, but you don't have to feel that you're depressed, that you've been diagnosed with something because somebody has diagnosed you or you've diagnosed yourself and you've put a label on yourself. You don't no longer need that label. And I show them how to get rid of it. It just takes minutes.
It doesn't matter if you've been abstinent from alcohol and drugs for 10 years if you're still an asshole. Like, it doesn't really matter, you know, and if you haven't been to the dentist in 10 years and your teeth are rotting out of your gums, you know, like, those are all problems. And I think that in order to have the most probable outcome of achieving and sustaining continuous long-term recovery is to have a balance between all three. So have that include yoga, have that include, you know, dealing with trauma, have that include eating healthy, you know, whatever is right for you though with eating healthy. It doesn't need to be a specific diet. Again, I think holistic is very client oriented.
In addition to what I do, which is primarily aimed at rapid, painless and permanent change, there are any number of things that a person can look to help themselves heal holistically and to relieve stress. This is what we're talking about, really. Relieve stress. And it could be something as like therapeutic massage is very, very good. Any type of there are a number of different wellness programs. Healing touch has been taught in hospitals for many, many years now. Healing touch is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it is about one human being actually touching another human being, speaking to another human being, and sharing some type of energy that is both relaxing and healing and stress relieving, de-stressing. Shiatsu is another wonderful thing. Yoga, the practice of yoga, that takes a little bit more time, but it is also very relaxing, and over a long period of time can be wonderful for a human being, and it's something they can take with them all of their life. Doing something like Tai Chi. I would suggest a chiropractor that also has a therapeutic massage part in his practice or wellness center. There are many things.
One very good thing for addiction is emotional freedom technique, EFT. And the reason I like EFT is because it's very easy. And I like it not because it's easy for me, but I can teach the client how to do it on their own so that they can continue this work all the time. That's the good thing about EFT. There are many techniques that are wonderful. Advanced integrative therapy. We look at the original trauma, then we look at the triggering trauma, and we put those two together that have created the symptom. And we clear the original, we clear the trigger, and then that clears the symptom. So we're working basically the same in all the different ways. It's just that EFT is much easier for somebody to do on their own who hasn't been trained, because I can teach somebody EFT, and I teach most of my clients EFT in 10 minutes. And I base most of my work, and especially addictions, on the 4 A's, which is being aware. So you have to be aware of what you're feeling and why you're feeling it, because feelings are valid, they're real, they're good, they make us human. So awareness, and then after the awareness, you accept that you can feel that and you do feel it. That doesn't mean that you say, there's nothing I can do about it when you accept it. You're accepting it in reverse of denying it. So it's awareness, acceptance, but awareness and acceptance are nothing without action. So that's the 3rd A. You've got to take some kind of action. After you feel your feelings, you're aware of what they are, You accept that you have them, you're okay with it, and then after you feel them for a while, you say, well, now it's ready to let them go. So what action am I going to take? I'm going to take, hopefully, something constructive rather than something destructive. I think we need to change our approach to addiction. I know the 12-step program is, I think it's good. It's very good, because it does include a lot of holistic things, because they're looking at putting yourself, letting go, surrendering to what life is. And that's all about, you know, the way we can heal. And so it does have a lot of very good things, but it's not enough. In order to heal addiction, I think we really have to go in and heal the past, heal the pain, and heal the trauma. And in holistic counseling and energy psychology, that's what we do. We go in and find out the root cause of this pain and clear it. We are one with the divine, my belief is. So prayer and meditation are very important. I'm very big on food, diet, nutrition, because we basically are what we eat. It's not the only part, but it's a very big part. I know it's more than just about food. There's a lot more to this holistic approach, and that's why I started learning more and more and more. And it seems like it's a never-ending quest for me. I'm always learning, but it's fun and I like it. So that's basically what I do: holistic counseling and energy psychology.
So I think sometimes the word holistic gets this like reputation that it's like off the grid and like crunchy and only like green juice and yoga and psychedelics, and those certainly can be components of holistic. But again, I believe that holistic is just making sure that the mental, the physical, and the spiritual are taken care of and in alignment. So holistic health can also include things like CBT and motivational interviewing and all of that, but it's just, in my opinion, it's about client-centered care.
About 8 months ago, the family of a young man who was 19 years old brought him to me because he was remanded for an anger management program by the court. He had gotten into an altercation with his brother at home, and the police were called by a neighbor. He had to go to court, and he was remanded to a program for anger, and he had to go to an alcoholic abuse program, a 90 day program. While I was with him alone, I learned that this young man, the problem really wasn't alcoholism, but he was a heroin addict from the time he was 13 until that very day he was 19, and the court didn't know that. Well, what I did at that point was began working with him not only on his anger problem, but a series of emotions that he had to deal with from childhood, which included post-traumatic stress disorder, both from his older brother's death the previous January, when he and his brother overdosed on heroin, back to when they were 13 and they were in a drug deal in another state and someone was murdered. Over a period of about 3 weeks, he came back to me for 3 or 4 different sessions, and the bottom line is that he is no longer a heroin addict. He has a job, he's going back to school, he has a new dog that he loves, and he is on a different path in his life. He never graduated from school. He went to the 8th grade. He has a good relationship with his parents now, and he's doing very, very well.